This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
Hey, it's Stu and Emily. This is the show, and my goal really is to pump myself up and just get through this show and not suck, because I know I talk about it a lot. I talk about it too much, but I took an Ambien last night, but today I'm really feeling it. So what you're hearing right now is false energy, and I'm really fuzzy, and I just want today not to suck. And then I've told myself, I've made a deal with me and God that after today, I'm just not going to take the Ambien to get to sleep, because I'd rather be tired than feel as groggy as I do right now. And other than that, I'm just preoccupied because I got to get back to the conclave. The whole papal thing is going on, and those other cardinals, they're just a bunch of bitches. They're not for equality. They're not doing the right thing, and they have all these religious pacts. A lot of them are in the back pocket of the wine lobby. They're like, ooh, blood of Christ, take the money, and that's going on. So I've been running for pope, and I'm going to tell you that no one will pope like I will pope. And I'm just kind of talking and mocking them and going through the process and lobbying, because I will be a tremendous pope. How are you?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a lot, and I'm well. Thank you very much.
And I was going to ask how you were, and I never planned to have a big initial long burst of me. It always just happens that way. I don't go in going, oh, here I go for a minute straight. It just happens. Maybe it's nervous energy. Yeah, you got a little bit of energy going into a show, and it just bursts out of me. And yeah, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so very much. Hey, it's great. Hey, you triggered one of my keywords, which unlocks a random fact.
I never want to trigger anything, because triggering is bad, apparently, and triggering is everything in today's society.
No, it's great. This is great. You've enticed out of me a fun fact and a memory. In Australia, we have grocery stores that are called Woolworths. Okay.
We had them here for a while, and then they all closed down.
Okay, so it's like just your regular grocery store. Every single day, they play the song. Every single day in every single store at exactly the same time at 3 p.m., they play the song Pump It Up by Endor.
I don't think I know that song.
Pump it up. You've got to pump it up.
I know Pump Up the Jams. Pump it.
Not Pump the Jam, but Pump It Up by Endor.
That's got to be an Australian thing, because I think I've never heard that song.
You've never heard it before?
I'm going to have to investigate it.
You're going to have to investigate it. You're going to have to drop it into the show for the fans so they can listen to it. But the reason that they do it is because it's an audio cue for everybody to let them know that school has now finished and to prepare for the after-school rush, to stock up the shelves, to make sure that the registers are fully staffed, and to get ready for the onslaught.
It says to everybody, hey, there's a bunch of hell coming. Get ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's trying to pump out the vibes.
Yeah.
And so it's a dance song.
Yeah. But then you would grow to hate that song because you would associate bad things with it, I think. It's kind of negative conditioning, kind of a negative Pavlov's dog thing.
Pavlov's Pump It Up.
Yeah, exactly. We need
everyone
studies
just
on
starts
this.
crying. Yeah.
Hey, go to a club and that song comes on and you just have this negative reaction and start jerking around, tears streaming down your face.
Just get fetal in the middle of the dance floor.
10-year-old hit me with a bat.
Where did it get the bat from?
I don't know. It's just in the dark recesses of my Ambien-filled brain. That's what's going on. So speaking of songs, Checkmate Honey beat you at your own damn game. Felt a little bit like Jack Black there. That is a great song lyric from a band called Aerosmith, but Checkmate Honey beat me at my own damn game. You know my just a little bit of the tip thing?
Yeah.
Where I don't tip people for to-go orders.
Yes.
Had a little problem. Been beat at my own damn game. I will tell you this brief story. I have decided for the longest time that I won't tip on to-go orders. It's a scam. The restaurant should be paying people. It's one of those things that they should be dealing with, not us. So for about a month now, I've been going to this Mexican restaurant, and I do not tip there. And I always get the same thing, usually once a week. It's not constant. I get a bean and cheese burrito, and I'm a bad vegetarian, so I go extra cheese and sour cream. Not a good way to go. But one time I ordered online, and I get there to pick it up, and the friendly, shiny, happy girl behind the counter says, "What about the extra cheese and sour cream?" And I purposely didn't order it, but I didn't want to be a dick. So I just said, "I forgot." And she said, "Oh, good that I remembered then." And she had little plastic dishes with cheese and sour cream for me, even though I didn't order it in case I wanted to put it on my burrito. She was being thoughtful and didn't even charge me for them.
How much did you tip her?
So now, oh, we'll get there. So now I'm like, oh, thank you. And I had prepaid online, and I didn't have cash with me. So I took it and I walk away, and I'm feeling bad driving home. I'm like, that is the person that you would want to tip. You would want to do the right thing, even though they should be getting paid more. So I get home and I email the manager of the place, and I say, everybody is always very nice and cheery, but I have this thing where I don't tip on to-go orders, and I just wanted to let you know that that girl behind the counter is especially nice. She went out of her way for me, even though she didn't have to, and it's great. Manager instantly replies back, "Oh, don't feel bad. You tip when you want to tip. She's great. Her name is Ella." So now I'm on a quest, and now I've gone back a couple times, but Ella's not there. So this last time, a couple days ago, I go back and Ella is there. The only thing that worries me a little bit about this place is everybody is so shiny and happy, almost like it's a cult, and they're all white people. I almost feel like they might be religious kooks, but I have to only deal with the facts here. So she's there, and I walk in, and I can tell by the look on her face instantly that her manager talked to her about the email that I sent. She goes, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And I said, "Hey, I don't know if you heard, but I don't tip on to-go orders, but every time I've come in here, you have been so great, and I really appreciate it, and you've really been wonderful." And she goes, "Well, just your kind words mean more to me than anything." And she's just trying to slough it off. So I reached into my pocket, and I gave her a 20. I gave her a $20 tip when I had already tipped on the order again to begin with. And she goes, "But that's just so much." And then she didn't want the money. And I said, "Thank you for being great." And I walked out. So it's just an example that I can show that you can be right about stuff, but then wrong about stuff, and you should do the right thing for people.
I'm so proud of you, Stu.
I feel like it was the right thing to do. And then I feel like now every time I go back, I have to tip no matter what, because then if I don't, I'm a hypocrite.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. But it's not that you're a hypocrite. I think that, like the guy says, you tip when you want to, and especially for your local places that you want to stay in business, you reward them for great customer service. They know you, they remember you. That little bit extra goes a really long way, and it gives you that great service. You know you're going to get it. So I wouldn't feel bad about tipping every time.
I like the sentiment of that. I agree with that. But then there's the part of me that says I shouldn't have to. It should be the restaurant paying them more. If they're a waiter or waitress, a server, and they're doing that for me, then a tip is expected. But it's the whole way it's set up that we're just expected to tip everybody nowadays. And that's the part that bothers me. And that is my stand. But checkmate, honey, beat me at my own damn game. So that's me. That's my first instance of existing this week. Anything exciting going on with you?
You know, I've taken up yoga.
I meant to ask you, I found a picture of Rose Byrne working out. Do you happen to remember the show where you talked about working out? Because I've been doing video promos, and I'm just doing Rose Byrne for your face anytime you talk. Do you happen to remember the show where you talked about that?
Was it Physical? The show about working out?
Might be. I don't know. I thought you were the show archivist. I thought that was listed in the thing.
Ordinarily, yes, that would be my role. But if we're talking about shows that Rose Byrne stars in, that includes stuff about working out, it's called Physical.
I don't care about her. I just need to use her picture for your voice when we do video promos. That's all.
Oh, yes,
I'm sure she'll be fine with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
So sorry, I interrupted your story. Go with it there. What's going on with you?
Today's pose, downward spiral.
Oh, that's different than downward dog, maybe.
Yeah, definitely different. There are tears at the bottom and crushing anxiety.
Why the anxiety? Just because you have to hold it so long? What's the deal there?
No, I've recently started drinking Red Bull again.
Oh.
And that really is messing with the vibe. So I feel like I'm just positively vibrating all over the shop, blah, 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 blah. But that's basically it. I do have other news, though. I quit my job.
You quit one of your jobs, right?
I quit one of my jobs.
Yeah.
Well, I
She
didn't.
has like 8. She's like a Jamaican.
I have given notice at one of my jobs, and I'm really sad about it because I don't really want to. I mean, I do because I want to spend more time with my family, but it's a really big part of my personality and who I am, and I love all of the people there, and it just makes me happy, and I'm going to be sad to leave that behind.
I get that being the case. Do you want to mention them now that it doesn't matter that you're on the show? We'll start using videos of you and all that sort of thing. We can do that, right? She's shaking her head. No, we shouldn't do that? Okay.
No, it's not those ones.
Part of the reason we don't use your video image and or even use your full real name is because you work in the business world, and also you're a woman on the internet and you don't want to have to go through any of that bullshit. And I get it. So
That's right. And
Yeah.
also, poor Robert, the drug dealer, we don't want to drag him into this as well.
I've been thinking about that as well. We joke about your husband being a drug dealer and traveling all over the world. And I'm wondering, based on our current government, if we should stop that. Because it is a joke, but somebody might pick up on something and put him in a gulag somewhere.
That is a very good point.
Yeah.
And now that we are deporting citizens, we should probably stop making that joke because it couldn't be further from the truth.
I just heard this morning that we're going to start sending people to our new prison camps that we're going to put up in Libya. So we're sending people to Libya right now. What in the actual fuck is going on with this country? And there's so many things I want to say, but I can't say because somebody would monitor those things that I want to say and take them as wrong, and I would probably be dragged away. So I'm very measured these days, but somebody has to stop this motherfucker. It's just ridiculous, and we can't go on like this. We're a fucking embarrassment to the world. I would like it more than Canada being a state if we could become a province of Canada. Can we work that out? That would be so much better for our country.
Well, I think they're offering that, and in return, they'll give us free healthcare and better education. What's not to love?
And
Putin.
Aside from all that social stuff, socialism that is really good, but people are against socialism. But, you know, being able to go to a doctor and not worry about being bankrupt because you're sick. Aside from that, it's just a fine country full of nice people. Canada, I've always said, better than normal people. We just need to live like them and get this motherfucker out of office. I'm so tired of it. And I know when I start talking about him, I go full tilt and swear constantly, but how can you not?
How can you not? And I think we can learn a lot from other countries in terms of child rearing as well. Here, not everybody even gives maternity leave. You have a baby and you can take a maximum of 2 weeks if you've just had some sort of parasite exit your body. You get 2 weeks. They can fire you for being pregnant. Companies can still fire you for being pregnant in this country. In other countries, men get paternity leave.
Yeah.
And it is so wonderful to go see the cute latte dads out having their little bromances at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday with their little dad cliques, just like how you see mums groups and kids getting to spend that time with their dads. It is top shelf awesome. And we don't do that
I
here.
feel like when kids are born, there is a natural process. They show it with the chimpanzees even that you need to bond with your kids. So we don't have a psycho growing up that's going to start killing people or become a horrible whatever. Maybe we should let people bond with their kids and we should arrange for that. And we could be more of a humanistic country. Could happen.
Could happen, right? And what is wrong with aspiring to be a dad? And be good at it.
Yeah.
By the way, there's so much sexism that exists. Both my husband and I story time. So both my husband and I, when we had our first child, we were both working at the same company, but it was a massive company and in two different groups. And we used to take turns at who would pick up our eldest son, who is just a little bambino, from his daycare. Because daycare closes at a fucking stupid time of like right at 5 o'clock or something dumb, 5:30 or something.
Right.
So work finishes at 5 and then you got to rip down to, La La Land and pick up your kid. Anyway, one day it was his turn because I had a really big meeting. And so he told everybody that he went into this meeting with to say, I have a hard stop. I have to pick up the midget. And everyone's like, yes, 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 yes. Anyway, they get towards the end of the meeting and it starts to run long. So he gets up to leave. When I tell you that other women in the room turned to him and said, what's Emily doing?
Oh, fuck you.
Exactly. And
Wow.
he said, she is working and today is my turn. But he was so gobsmacked to experience that sexism.
I was going to say that's sexism coming from a woman.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was just mind-blowing. And it's been a very long time since that happened, but it's still something that really sticks in my mind.
Yeah, because who would bring that up to begin with? You're bringing that up to say fuck you, and then in your fuck you, you're also making it sexist.
Yeah, and also mentioning me by name.
That's terrible. We just make it all stop.
It's so weird,
worst.
right? Anyway.
I've said so many times I just want to go to Canada. Even if we work all this out, I still maybe want to go to Canada just based on all the greatness that I'm hearing. Those people are on the right track. And
Canada is great. I do enjoy Canada. I do love this country too, though. I really do hold out hope. In my day-to-day life, I am still heartened by my neighbors, my friends, and I have to believe that we are going to find a way through this absolute insanity.
I would like to think that America and the dumb will start to learn. Do you ever go through your day as your day is and think, wow, I picked the wrong time to get in on this one when you think about the U.S.?
Yes.
I would.
But not because I don't love the country or any of those sorts of things, but because I am afraid that all of the things that we've worked really hard for don't actually mean anything, that there's no such thing as free speech, that even though I'm a citizen, that should I be deemed to step out of line, I am such a goody two-shoes, we've talked about this before, there is nothing I would ever do that would be deportable. But
well, as far as you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when the rule of law can be changed on a whim through one individual's definition, looking at someone the wrong way or saying purple monkey dishwasher could get you deported. So,
Yeah, so don't do that, whatever you do.
yeah, whatever you do, don't say that.
Hang around in the government and talking about purple monkeys. Yeah, I think about the ideal of this country, and I would like to believe that it's going to eventually get back to what I thought it was growing up, with freedom of speech and the ideal of working hard and being rewarded, but not having to be a corrupt, duplicitous asshole in order to be successful, and that it shouldn't be a rich ruling class ruling everybody else. And that if you have a basic job working 40 hours a week, you ought to be able to at least rent an apartment. That ought to be a basic thing that we institute in our society. And
Absolutely. The concept of the working poor is something that is terrible in this country. It is ridiculous that some of the pillars of our society, and I'm sure that I've ranted about this before, teachers, they should be revered. They are the backbone of our society. We should take care of them. We should parent our children better, and we should pay them better. It is ridiculous that teachers can't afford to just be teachers. To be a teacher, you have to essentially be married so that you have a second income, or you need to supplement your income, or you need to be living at home.
Yeah, I remember social studies in junior high and high school, hearing about these societies where there was classism and how there were the serfs and the peons and all these people in current days and in history, and them saying, wow, this is the way this country is set up. And that's completely what we have become in this country. And nobody wants to identify. Well, the rich don't want to identify it because it benefits them. And it's just amazing that we've gotten to that point. So.
Bonkers.
Anyway, there I was being all equal and stuff. And here's the thing where maybe I'm being unfair and judgmental, maybe even a little bit sexist. I will bring this up to you. This is a thing that I saw that made me think about things. Nicolas Cage's son, his name is Weston. He got married, and that's been in the media. And the media, bright as they are, went, and his dad was there. And here's the pictures. Like, okay, of course his dad was there. His son's getting married. Here's the thing about Weston Cage's wife. Super attractive, but I looked at her and I went, wow, she is a huge pain in the ass. I looked at her and I determined that, and then I thought, is that fair? Should I be able to make that judgment? But I thought, looking at her, she looks like the type of person, and at least comes off to me as somebody that is very needy and wanty, and you have to pay constant attention to, and would be a pain in the ass. One, is that fair? And two, is there a female looking at a guy equivalent in that, or even a same gender marriage looking at somebody else in that? Or is it just me? Have I made a judgment out of nowhere?
So a couple of things on that. One, you can never judge a book by its cover. And I think that everybody in different scenarios looks different. You know, how a woman looks on her wedding day isn't what she looks like at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and it isn't what she looks like when she goes to work. It isn't what she looks like in a variety of different things. And so I think you'd want to engage with her before you made up your mind about that. But I do think that it is completely above board to make judgments about people and to go, they would be a massive pain in the ass for me, or I'm not down for that. For example, you're a vegetarian. I like to not go to the gym a lot. Could you imagine you or I trying to date a bodybuilder who is on a super strict diet, who basically snorts protein, is a grunter, you know, is always just like injecting themselves with anabolic steroids? You know what? That is for some people. But that is a lifestyle that doesn't suit my lifestyle. It doesn't suit your lifestyle while he's eating or she's eating just meat. Just all the time, just meat. You can judge that as that is a massive pain in the ass. That is a complete antithesis of how I want to live my life. And I feel like that is 100% above board.
I agree with everything you just said. It makes sense to me. But then I think of, and I will counter with, Lauren Sanchez. Do you not look at Lauren Sanchez and go, oh my God, she has to be such a huge pain in the ass? Honestly.
She looks like she might have low self-esteem. And so I don't know about that, though. So I don't know.
And maybe the low self-esteem causes the pain in the ass. I'm not saying what the cause of the pain in the ass is. Maybe it's not even their fault. It's just I can't look at her and not believe that she's not a pain in the ass. She would have to be. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a dick.
I don't know. I still okay, I'll tell you where I do judge. I've thought of a thing where I can join you. Okay? People with massive nails, like ridiculously long nails. What are they? They're not working. If they are, they're hardly working. If working at all, they are do-nothing people. If you can't push buttons and carry things or operate a keyboard or anything like that, useless. I
says
judge
I'm
people
useless,
based on that.
and that also says, look at me, is what that says.
Yeah. I don't mind the look at me. It's not my shtick. I am like, please don't look at me, don't make eye contact with me, and never say my name. If I do a good job, please never mention it. That's my whole vibe. Some people, they love that. They're like, look at me, whatever, I'm great, as long as it's them and not me. So I don't begrudge people for the whole look at me thing, but it does annoy me when I go somewhere, particularly to a medical institution, or anything sort of service industry, and then I'm served by somebody who looks like fucking Edward Scissorhands.
You go, hey, do some nice topiary for me there, Ed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Hold me. I can't. Like, it's ridiculous. Exactly. Fucking spike me.
See, I don't mind the look at me, except when it's the look at me and that's all they've got. Like influencers, I feel like it's look at me and that's all they've got. And that I feel is just empty and talentless. And yes, it's judging people, but I don't think it's inaccurate either. And then I try to be fair and think, okay, is there a dude version of that person? And I think there absolutely is. I think it's the sporty dude bro that, and we know who that guy is too. I think.
Yeah, it's the gym bro,
right,
who's always posting photos of himself without his shirt on.
Right.
Yeah, it's #blessed guy.
Hey, I'm out with my trophy wife, and here we are getting bottle service, and it's just that empty, dumb thing that people do, and a lot of it is related to social media.
Yeah, I think social media is just so terrible. Anyone whose whole existence revolves around that is a huge red flag for me. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to change my previous answer to huge pain in the ass if the center of their universe is their outward projection and they spend their whole life absorbed by chasing likes and they're not living in the moment and they're always photographing things. Like, so if someone can't sit down and eat a meal without photographing it and posting it on the internet, those people are bonkers and not worth the trouble. There is something psychologically wrong with them, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree, and I immediately go to, yes, you're very pretty, guy or girl. Now, what else you got? And maybe our goals as an American society is to get back to a place of saying, yeah, this is what I got, and having goals of being more than, wow, I used the right filter and caught myself at the right angle, and I have something to offer other than being pretty.
Right. But there's this terrible reality of the fact that there is a whole economy, and in fact it's one of the biggest ones in the world that revolves around that. So even though we say, okay, you're pretty but you're vapid, they can still make a very good living because they say, look at me, and people do. And so how do we change that? Because people will say, oh, beauty's only skin deep and it doesn't matter what you look like and all of that kind of stuff. But deep down, Stu, and be honest with me, you don't want to be with a woman that nobody else wants to fuck. True. Or false?
That's true.
True.
Because being with her, you would want her to be attractive. And I think the general idea of what is attractive to me, and I admit that.
Right.
Right.
And these are the days of our lives.
I have this for way later in the show because it came up this week, but I'll go to it now. And the question is, and get ready for some darkness here. This made me feel icky. I will ask you this lead-in question. Has society hit its low yet? Do you think that is the case?
I think it has hit its low. But then every day I'm surprised when I hear us digging. We hit rock bottom and then we start to dig.
I would say that I think our rock bottom has just hit because of this story. Fake Down syndrome porn generated by AI is a thing that has been found. And I don't even know if this is read by AI, which would make it even more of a twist. They're taking Down syndrome people and they're putting their faces on regular bodies, which may or may not be minors. They say they're minors, but they don't look like minors. They're identifying them as minors, and then they're doing OnlyFans and porn. And here, I'll play this clip. It's just what the fuck has our world come to?
This woman might look like she has Down syndrome, but she doesn't. It's an AI filter. Videos have been taken from the account of a 16-year-old girl and used to make a fake profile of
Now, if this is happening, apparently there's a kink for that and there's a want for that in our society.
someone with Down syndrome. Text used on the videos is sexual, and the profile contains a link to OnlyFans, a subscription website where users can pay for things like explicit images. And this is just one example. We've seen multiple accounts on Instagram, some with tens of thousands of followers, all using these filters and linking out to accounts on OnlyFans. We reached out to representatives for Ellie Goldstein. She's a prominent model with Down syndrome. Her agent told us the use of AI to fetishize disabilities is unacceptable and called for social media platforms to take action. OnlyFans told us none of the linked accounts contained any content altered with AI, and Instagram's told us it's removed the profiles found to violate its policies.
Instagram, Zuckerberg, they're on the right track, right? Isn't that just like the fucking ickiest thing ever that, okay, it's not even Down syndrome porn, it's AI generated Down syndrome porn, and people have to be into that for that to work.
It's the fetishization of it, and I can't speak today, that is, I think, bothersome. And it's the violation of stealing somebody's likeness. I don't have any sort of problem with people with Down syndrome being sexual and that kind of thing. I think the pornography and that kind of stuff, I'm not into porn anyway. But people with Down syndrome, it is a spectrum. Lots of people with Down syndrome lead a relatively normal life. Some of them get married, some of them have kids, all of that kind of stuff. And so that, to me, they're just people.
Right.
But what pisses me off is someone going and stealing somebody's face and then misrepresenting them as having done pornography. I mean, think about this. What if I was to take your face and, do that and make Stu AI porn?
I don't know. Am I hung? How do I look? What do I got going on? It depends, I guess. Depending on
It's just
you
what
do
a violation. I think it's just...
I couldn't not take that joke there. I had to go for that joke.
No, you had to go for that joke. And it's a good question. And I just didn't want to visualize it. I didn't want to go there. I was like, oh, God, I don't know.
No, you're right. It's some sick individual that said, I'm going to take that Down syndrome face and put it on this person and have them do porn stuff because there's people out there that are into that. And I think, okay, I agree with you that people with Down syndrome should be treated as normal people. They just want to be like anybody else, and I'd love to treat them as such. If that is the case, then if they are doing porn legitimately, then we kind of go, okay, I guess that's fine because the rest of the world is, right?
I think the same can be said for, say, individuals with dwarfism.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I make a lot of jokes using inappropriate terms, but when I'm doing that, I'm not talking about people with dwarfism. They are fetishized as well. Why can't I say that word today?
There's words that just get stuck in you, and I get tripped up all the time. And
Exactly.
It's just, we work a lot, and we're tired, and we're on Ambien. We can't help it.
We can't help it.
Man, Jesus.
And so they turn them into a fetish,
Yeah.
right? It's like feet. I still don't understand the whole feet thing. If someone can explain that to me, I'd love to learn. I'm not into it at all. I don't understand it. But it's the same thing. People have the weird shit that they're into. And I think this is just another example of there is a market for weird shit. There are people who want to have sex with their car.
Yeah. And I've heard about that, the tailpipe, the whole thing that's been in the news. It's just, there's so many weird oddities, and I feel like I don't want to be judgy, but no, I'm going to be judgy if you're fucking your car. And I'm going to be judgy if you're putting an autistic face on a person and having them perform things that they didn't want to perform.
If you are doing that, it's not cool. I think any sort of lack of consent takes it to a place that is super not okay.
Right.
I do believe, though, that if you've got a kink for people with dwarfism and you can hook yourself a sexy dwarf, have at it. If it's two consenting adults, enjoy. I see no problem with that at all, because I think that's just people. living their best lives and doing what people do. And I love that for them.
So based on this conversation, if somebody has Down syndrome and they want to perform on OnlyFans, they should be allowed to do that.
Absolutely.
What if you brought up the point that they maybe don't have the ability to make those decisions completely on their own in a responsible way? And if you're thinking that their mental state isn't that of an adult, then is that okay? And do we allow that?
No, I think that if someone doesn't have that ability, is under some sort of conservatorship, or cannot make those decisions and is being encouraged to do that, because somebody who does not have that capacity wouldn't make those decisions for themselves. There'd have to be somebody else influencing it. And I think that level of influence really removes that element of consent and pushes it into exploitation. And
how do you regulate that? Because you can say, okay, they're 19 years old, but they're not really 19 years old mentally where they can judge. And do we then have to start getting doctor's notes for people to do what they want to do?
You could try and police it, but policing the porn industry is never going to happen. In the same way that we are doing our best to stop pedophilia and to stop exploitation and abuse materials and all of those sorts of things, human trafficking, we can try, but it's going to be very difficult.
I mean, I guess that's my point. I kind of view it as pedophilia in those cases. And if that's the case, can you legally argue that if they're 22 years old, but not really thinking it through as a 22-year-old? That's got to be.
I mean, surely you'd have to be. I think that sounds reasonable. I always ask, the reasonable person test. If you took it to a court of law, they'd pass it through the reasonable person test, which is, would a reasonable person assess this situation and think that this is wrong and it shouldn't be allowed? And I think in the scenario that you've played out, 100%, it's wrong. They don't have the capacity. They don't know what they're consenting to, or, they haven't gone out and purchased all of the streaming equipment.
Yeah, if somebody else buys it for them and says, here, do this, that's a very big red flag. And I guess you get into psychological evaluations and all that stuff. And
yeah, absolutely. I guess that's why they're using AI and putting people's faces on them, because it must be really difficult to find Down syndrome sexual content creators. It sounds quite niche. And so maybe they've run into a supply problem. They can't keep up with the demand. And that's all it is. And this is disgraceful, right? But there is such a high demand. There is a low supply. We now have AI, and it can bridge that gap. In some ways, look at it this way. How happy are you, though, that the bodies being used are actually consenting adults and not people that are being exploited?
Yeah, and the people doing it, I bet, would argue that they are being very noble by not actually doing it, but just putting the faces of these people. They're just putting the faces on them and doing it that way rather than actually doing it. They would say, oh, look at us, look what we're doing. And then I can take it a step further, but comment on that.
I'm sure that's how they sleep at night.
Yeah.
But you and I both agree that it's just up and down wrong and icky.
It's exploitive, and that's an excuse, and they're saying there's a need for it. And okay. So then, what of the argument, and I've heard this brought up as a question before, what about people that are into child porn? Do we allow for AI-generated child porn? Because the argument some would say is that at least it lets those freaks get out their desires, and they're not going to go out and enact it on a kid if they can at least get the AI version of it.
No, it's just, that's a hard no.
I agree.
And how do you know it's going to stop them from what? It's just complete nonsense.
Is it going to stop it, or is it going to fuel it? That's the question that I had, and it's like I can't say that that's a good thing.
It is not a good thing.
All right. Well, we'll move on to this news story then. This is really absurd. This is maybe the most absurd news story in a long time. These are cops doing a really bad thing, and you'll see how it goes. I'll kind of describe as we go.
A Metro Atlanta Police Department now under fire for how it investigated an alleged attack and home invasion.
So what happened?
He kicked in the door.
So they're talking to a woman at a trailer park who's telling them about what her boyfriend did.
I ran. He choked me out.
An Atlanta News First investigation uncovered evidence that that woman may have fabricated her story. Investigative reporter Andy Parati found it led to the arrest of a man who says he is innocent.
And I'm going to just blow it right now. I'm going to tell you, I'll commit to this man being 100% innocent. You'll see why.
536, just confirming you're advising signal 20, front door.
College Park police respond to a home in June 2024.
Oh, thank God.
All right, how you doing?
After Catherine Jensen says her ex-boyfriend attacked her minutes before they arrived.
So what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out. Tried to get the keys from my hand of my truck.
So he grabbed you by your neck?
Mm-hmm. Handle him myself. I'm too small.
You say he kicked the door in?
He did.
Charles
He kicked
Reed
the door
is
in.
the man Catherine claimed broke into her home and assaulted her.
Okay, sorry, I was talking over that a little bit. I'll back it up a little bit. This is the guy that she says choked her out.
Charles Reed is the man Catherine claimed broke into her home and assaulted her.
She said I kicked in the door.
And why is that a problem?
Because I'm in a wheelchair and have been for 25 years.
Huh, that's weird. I wonder how all this played out.
Charles cannot move his legs. He's paraplegic following an accident when he was a teenager. Andrew Fleischman is Charles' attorney.
She describes that he's of average build.
Tall, short.
Average height.
That he has brown hair, that he's in black clothing.
So all black?
I want to say yes, sir.
But not that he's in a wheelchair. Never mentions it. And that is probably the number one thing you'd mention about somebody.
Especially as they're...
You probably bring that up. He kicked in the door. He was in a wheelchair. He jumped up and grabbed me, but he's in a wheelchair.
Honestly, he's making a wheel for it. Follow the tracks. Follow the tracks down the gravel driveway.
When you go to apprehend him, put out a spike strip. That'll stop him.
That'll stop him.
Oh,
This is perfect. And he choked her out.
Yeah. He would have had to, I think, really reach up, I guess. And she would have had to just stood there for it, you know.
running away.
On foot.
I guess he took off on foot.
Charles and Catherine.
I guess.
He didn't take off on wheel. He took off on foot. All right.
But I know that this is a stupid question, but did she name him, or did they just go to the big book of boyfriends and just choose the first one on the list? Maybe she had several gentlemen callers, and perhaps he was one of the fish in the sea, and they just picked up the wrong
Based
one.
on details that are about to come, I believe she named him, and it gets even better when the police are investigating.
I guess he took off on foot.
Charles and Catherine did date, but it was more than 20 years ago. They never kept in touch. He's been married for a decade with a newborn. And the day of the alleged attack, Charles says he was at a dinner party with friends.
Did police contact you at all?
No, not at all. Not a single time.
You didn't get a phone call?
Not a phone call.
You didn't get an email?
Not an email. Not a visit.
No one questioned you about this?
Nope.
For 9 months, Charles says he had no clue officers had a warrant out for his arrest for aggravated assault until the federal government alerted him when he tried to renew his passport. So he emailed Officer McKinley Boletti and set up a time to meet at the police department last month.
Then I finally go up there literally knowing absolutely nothing about it. I essentially surrendered myself because I was that innocent.
According to the body camera video, Officer Boletti questioned whether he was actually disabled.
So he gets implicated in this with somebody that would have feet. He doesn't have feet. He's completely paralyzed, and he goes to turn himself in, being the good guy, just trying to clear it all up. How do you think it goes next?
Well, as we know, the constabulary are top tier smart. Yeah. I think they're going to accuse him of faking it, and they're going to arrest him anyway.
On the goddamn nose.
Fuck off.
But it's even more absurd than that. Oh, here we go.
Unfortunately, you do have the warrant out for your arrest, so I'm going to have to place you into custody.
Is this a joke?
Charles warned the officer putting handcuffs on would likely make him fall.
They're going to take him out of the chair. Oh, no! Far out! Oh,
because
Charles.
of his paralysis.
I'm sitting there literally exactly like this in my chair. And so he handcuffs me, and I'm like, hey, like, just FYI, like, I can't move. I literally can't. I don't have muscle control.
It's too late.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
He falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes when they try to pull him out of the chair. And he's just lying there a lump on the ground because he's fucking paralyzed. Way to go, cops.
I mean, I could have broken my hip and died, like, very quickly.
How did they respond?
They literally sat there and just watched me writhe on the ground.
The officer still didn't believe Charles was disabled. Neither did his supervisor, who never put his eyes on Charles before saying this.
It's a ruse, man. So, I mean, it's an obvious attempt to not to go to jail. So.
Good thing for body cam footage.
So,
a fellow officer disagreed.
Might need to call the district attorney's office, because if the door was kicked in, he didn't kick it in.
Finally, Officer Belletti admits he could be wrong.
Because now it's looking like she might have made a false report.
He started to hurt me about March of this year. And
a year before Catherine claimed Charles assaulted her, the Newnan Police Department, about 30 miles away, arrested her for theft and forgery after allegedly filing a false police report claiming someone stole from her. Fleischman says officers have access to a state database identifying prior arrests, but Officer Belletti never mentions Catherine's arrest record in the incident report.
But I've never seen a case where somebody was so clearly innocent, and it would take so little work to establish it, and nobody was willing to do the work.
It was a tumultuous relationship.
According to this email obtained by Charles' attorney, Catherine wrote to a College Park police detective this week asking to change her statement, writing, "My mental state and physical trauma in that moment worked to confuse me. Please contact me at your convenience so I can edit the information in the report and clear the name of an innocent man."
Oh, well, that's fair now. That seems right. That's the good, just thing to do now.
Well,
Fucking
I'm so excited.
I don't know how I stumbled on this story, but I just like, what the fuck? What should happen here?
I don't know 100% what should happen, but I am pretty excited for the new pool that Charles is getting in his backyard.
My point exactly.
I'm pretty pumped for his new Porsche.
He doesn't need a pool, though, so.
Yeah, why not?
He soak
Sure
his
he
neck,
does.
I guess. He can't move.
No,
he doesn't feel it.
No, he does. And yes, he does. And he can absolutely enjoy a pool. There are special chairs that you sit in, and he can probably move around if he has control of his arms. And yes, absolutely.
He should be given millions of dollars.
He should
Millions
be.
of dollars.
Millions. He probably drives a car, you know. He probably has a
That could
modified
be.
car that he can also drive. If he's a paraplegic, not a quadriplegic, he probably lives a very full and able life.
And as far as people coming across, you see him interviewed in this video, and he just seems like the nicest guy. And like, wow, you wouldn't expect that guy would get fucked over like he did. And these cops.
Well, he should stop kicking people's doors in.
Yeah. Well, you
Prick.
just watch your actions, mister.
He should stop choking people out and wrestling them for the car keys to a car he can't drive. Why was he even doing that? It seems ridiculous. Why would he steal the keys to a car he can't drive, Stu? It seems too aggressive.
I just heard this thumping on my door, and it was him in the wheelchair trying to wheel in. over
Yeah,
and
it's
over.
ridiculous. You know why? As well, he was very cross about those 2 fold-down steps on the side of the trailer too. He had to get up those to choke her out as she fled into her trailer.
And actually, looking at her white trash trailer, I think that's true. I think there are steps going up there. And that would have been an after the thought thing too. Oh, way to go. So, yeah, the cop should be fired.
Man.
He should be given millions
Definitely.
of dollars, and that woman should serve jail time. Absolutely. Because when you make a false statement like that really fucks somebody up like that in such a huge way, you should serve time for that.
You should. Agreed.
All right.
Approved.
Bang. There's the approval of the thing.
Well, and with us having passed all of these judgments, what a day.
There you have it. What a day. We can end it here. We're a little bit early, but I don't care. There's not that much great news this week. It's just more typical Trump insanity every day. I turn on the news and just go, oh, there's that new fuck thing. Okay. Internment camps in Libya. We'll go with that. And what crazy thing will it be tomorrow? And I make this pledge now. No longer am I going to take Ambien. And the next time you hear me, I may be tired, but I won't be groggy from Ambien. It is my point, so let it be moted, or whatever the fuck they say.
Amazing. I look forward to being your accountability buddy in that. And for anyone else who is also struggling with the American experience right now, do you know what research says if you're feeling down and depressed, what you can do?
Get outside?
Yes, and do something nice for someone else. If you are disappointed with the way that people are being treated, if you're feeling just fucked off and overwhelmed, go and do something nice for someone else without any expectation of anything in return, and that will brighten your mood.
And I can tell you that that is true based on my not even a little bit of the tip experience. That was different for me. It was like, God damn it. Now I'm roped into this in a good way. Okay, I guess I have to feel good.
I'm so happy that you did that. That has made my day.
Well, and it was just because she didn't want anything out of it and was just genuinely being a good person. You have to reward that. Oh, and by the way, I meant to mention too, the windmill thing. We were asking people about the windmill.
Oh, yeah.
I heard from a couple people that it can go either way, a couple men, and then I heard from a woman that said she could verify as a woman in Facebook. So apparently you don't have to do the arm thing from what I heard as a woman. Maybe there's other talents involved. But yeah, if you missed the windmilling thing last week, there's important research to be done there.
Very important. Thank you for that poll. No pun intended.
There you go. Have you noticed that anytime anybody ever says no pun intended, the pun is absolutely intended?
100%.
There's no getting around it.
There's no getting around it. That's what she said. What? God!
It's too bad.
How do you put up with me?
It's too bad you weren't around in the That's What She Said era, because you would have been great at that.
Honestly.
It's passe to say now, and kind of dumb and cliche. That's what you can't do it now. But back then, you would have been on it.
I would have been on it. It's almost like singing the Sizzler song. Yeah.
You ever watch The Office?
Not the American one.
Oh, well, you're one of those people.
One of those.
I can't watch the American Office.
Foreigners. No, it's just that the other one came out before that one. And so I watched the Ricky Gervais one.
You should really, with the husband, start watching the American version of The Office. It's really great. Like, I can't watch the British one because the American one is so great. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. And you know how much I hate America, so.
Good. I'm going to check it out.
Alrighty.
Well, have a beautiful day and enjoy the rest of your week. It's always a pleasure.
Same to you. I'm going to go drink a bunch of coffee, run around the block to get the drugs out of me, and everybody have a great week.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.
Jack me, honey, beat you at your own damn game.